It's time for a Mutanus game, so Top King, I hope you're happy with this one. Also, quickly redirect you guys to my Mutanus guide where I literally go over how to play him step by step. He's been one of my best heroes, so this is a different game. This will be a game with a Divine Shield opener. Having a pub bot on 1 is amazing because look, on turn 3 you can just buy something, hero power, and buy. You don't need a token or anything like that, and now we have already a big Divine Shield unit. So that's the perk of starting with a pub bot on turn 1. This turn you want to try and hero power every single turn, so I decided to roll here, just take the best stats, which was a 3-3, and I'm just gonna buy another 3-3. Now 4-3 technically is better, but I like the demon more because we can eat it with Soul Devourer on tier 3. So that's basically how you play Mutanus. Try and hero power as much as possible, just take the best stats, and you can fit in a roll in your turns just because you do end up eating something anyway, right? Like right here it's between the Leaper, which is instant stats, or Gem Splitter, but I know Splitter has a lot more potential because there's Quill Burst synergies that can provide me stats. The gems I can direct myself onto whatever units I want, so Gem Splitter is just great on this board. And this is a godlike roll. We had a Solid Looter, which can scale up a little bit, and a Deflector bot. You just want to look for scaling, find anything that generates stats. Like a Looter sucks, right? But if you can just give it a bit of stats and hero power it, it's amazing because it can land on our Deflector bot or something like that. So we just level again. We try to be on tier 4 as Mutanus and stay there. Either on 8 gold or 9 gold you go to tier 4. And most of the great mid-game scaling units are there, and Mutanus is the king of mid-game scaling, because again, no stats go to waste and your stats land on good units guaranteed if you just hero power every turn. So that's why I just try and optimize every little bit of stats that I can get, and I play another Divine Shield unit here. Also, we've been winning every fight. As you can see, we're still on full HP, 40 HP, and that's the power of playing like this. Like, you usually don't take any early damage, even though we're facing actually like relatively strong opponents. Champion sucks as a card, but hey, on Mutanus it's good, because guess what? It's just stats, it's passive growth. I feel like I'm repeating myself quite a lot, but no, it's just the way it goes. Even these Peggies, man, they're so good with this current setup. Double Peggy, whatever we buy, we get free stats. I will take it. Also, a very short reminder that if you've been watching these videos and you enjoy them, do not forget to subscribe. You know, most people that watch my videos are still not subscribed, but if you subscribe, you're guaranteed to watch or get these videos recommended to you. So this is the first time we lose a fight against one, because one, well, it's one. They can do some broken shit, and our turn was kind of slow. But hey, I can't complain. Also, another thing with Mutanus is that you don't really care too much about triples. Generally speaking, I don't value pairs too much, except for this Bubble pair because it's strong, and Peggy pair because it buffs, obviously. But you don't need to triple into direction as this guy. Like, your direction is just whatever you get in your shop that gives you stats, and that changes every turn. Like, I don't keep anything around for too long. Like this champion, I think it's gonna stick 1 or 2 more turns and then it's sold. I don't care about, like, milking is good and trying to get and squeeze as much value out of your units, but it might as well just constantly rotate and try and be as strong as possible, because then again you like increase your odds of the buffs actually landing on good units. If you skip the hero powers for too long, then in the end you might run into some trouble and start losing fights. Also, this Alakir is playing Tauntcom very interestingly. They have a champion as well. They have a arm and a grease bot. They're kind of our board, but a little bit better. And it's interesting because usually I have never seen actually anyone play this type of board recently, because it just sucks Tauntcom. So this is the first time I see someone pull it off relatively well. They beat me and they actually deal a lot of damage, and they're still on 34 HP. So maybe, just maybe, Tauntcom has, like, it's kind of creeping back into the meta because of how tempo-ish, fast, and mid-game things are right now. So Jug, even though we have 2 tribes, I take it here. Is that wrong? There's probably like some better things to find, but it's not strictly wrong. It's gonna be +4/+4, and I can hero power it, although I'm hero powering something else this turn. There's a champion. Goodbye. I'm just playing for stats once again. Oh no, actually I have 3 tribes. I forgot about the Peggies on the board. So Jug is, yeah, it's definitely good. +6/+6, you always take it. I'm a bit pippy, yeah. And there is a beautiful grease bot. That's why you want to go to 4 as well. You just want to find as many Divine Shield units as Mutanus, because they're obviously the best units to land stats on. You find the grease bot, so that way you scale up those units and you should be pretty unstoppable. Another thing I'm looking for is maybe Shaker, because we do have steady supply of gems, and shaking is good with a financial board, but also has some synergies with Mutanus. If I shake and then hero power, the stats that it generates are gonna stick on the board. And oddly enough, we find a triple. Yeah, we have this triple that I decide to freeze and take this turn. And I've been looking at if it should take a 6 or a 5, but I've come to the realization that there's no 6s that I want at this point. Like, Omega Buster, I don't really need. It's gonna be a little bit awkward. I would rather try and find a Mackerel or something, or Kangaroos or whatever, something on tier 5 that just is a spike. Maybe, well, Spore is okay. Brand could give me some value. Tony is probably too greedy because I feel like I'm gonna get rid of Peggy soon. Again, you don't want to keep these for too long. They're just on the board for stats. That's their main purpose. So actually, I'm gonna get rid of it here already. I don't care about triples, mainly. At least right now, there's nothing that I need to hit to progress. We did hit a Shaker as well. I'm freezing the pair on Deflecto because Deflecto is amazing. Maybe even consider this arm. And we're chilling. So I know that I play Mutanus probably a bit different from other people. I feel like there's no set way to play him. I keep repeating this, but this is always how I play him. Like, not greedy at all, just go all in every turn and be as strong as possible and find scalable opportunities. But it's been working for me. Like, so far, again, he's one of my highest winner heroes, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm gonna just show you guys how to play him, but don't be discouraged if you decide to play him differently. I just don't know if, well, then I can't help you. Basically, this is just the only way I know how to play him. We did lose this fight, sadly, but we now have double Deflecto. Even though it's a small Deflecto, it's only a 2-3, you take it, right? We have a Shaker, we can still land hero powers on it, we have a Crease Spot. It's never too late for a Deflecto on a Mutanus board, especially one like this. And we're in top 6, and at this point, we just gotta think or ask ourselves, are we gonna outstat this lobby? If yes, then we can just keep doing what we're doing. Buy stats, buy buffs, get bigger, right? That's why I take the Leaper. I feel like attack on all these mechs is probably still valuable. But if we narrow it down to like the top 4 or top 3, then very often our scaling is not going to match high rollers. If someone has like golden Nomis and things like that, it's not going to match. Also here, I shake and hero power for the reason that I explained earlier. The split attack on the Peggy is now going to be permanent and carried over. So you want to shake first, then hero power, and you get some amazing value out of that. Anyway, I end up playing Spore here. I don't want to be, again, too greedy. I want to kill this Toki and make it a top 3 real quick. And then it's gonna be all about teching. So again, high rollers we probably can't beat, but we can try and tech around them. Meaning, do we need more poison? Do we need more shields? Do we need, like, what do we need, right? Even though this mech board is insanely strong, like honestly, Deflecto bot with like 60 and 70 attack, these bots that still haven't been tripled, even though they're literal 1-drops, which is kind of insane. That is probably good enough to take a first, honestly. Like, we're down to 8 HP. We did lose some mid-game fights, which I didn't expect, honestly. But here we are, full hand of gems, still a Shaker, and a top 3. Up against the Alakir, still running Talent Comp on 34 HP, so hasn't lost the fight yet. Which is amazing. I do finally level up because of Mackerel, and we get instantly rewarded. So there we go. Now, while I let this fight play out and this turn, where I just shake here, power play the Mackerel, I'm gonna read a comment by David. So his main question about my guide on direction was, how do I find any of these early enough to do a thing? Because I do know that a lot of people just don't find it early enough, right? That's the biggest argument that I see people make, is that I can't get to them early enough, I just die, what do I do? Now, the main thing I see with people that are lower rated is they're scared to power level. They like never power level, but the benefit of leveling very quickly is the fact that you can find direction earlier. So don't be scared to skip a tier and just level up like crazy. Another thing is triples. I see people take triples way too early. They find a triple and they just take it into a 3-drop or into a 4-drop. But use your health as a resource. Besides gold, you have health that you can spend. So use your health to freeze the triple and level up, and then triple into a 5 or a 6. The only way that people get early direction and figure out what to do for the game is because they decide to, well, level greedily and just take some damage for it, and then triple into a higher tier, or just roll something from a higher tier and not commit onto something early on. So I hope this helps you out a little bit, and maybe might help you realize that maybe you should change the playstyle a little bit and just play greedier, or try and actively look for new stuff. because, well, I'll continue on this comment. Most of the time I'm playing with a weak board, wondering what to do as I'm already sort of committed to a tribe. Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you stay on lower tiers and sort of commit to a tribe, you indeed are kind of screwed if you don't find your direction, right? And if that is the case, then either you try and find different direction and pivot, which is pretty hard but doable, or you just full commit and you need to figure out what is the direction. Like, do I need to level? Like, if you are playing max, that you probably stay on tier 4 for grease spots and you try and roll grease spots, or if you feel like that's not good enough, then you gotta go to tier 6 or try and triple into 6 shops hitting Omega Buster. Like, for those are just 2 examples. Anyway, we did triple the pub bot. I'll come back to the game now, which might have been bait, but I felt like it was worth because I needed board space. I didn't know what I would hero power here, so the only way I could make a move here was by tripling and making board space. Happened to find a poison on Mulligadon, and we're able to put a shield onto Mackerel. Again, like my previous mech video, you always want to divine shield Mackerel because this thing can just scam like crazy. We have an amazing board now. We're up against a double Buster build with a golden and normal Mackerel and a golden tank. So this guy is doing the Omega Buster stuff with mechs, and we are just more of a classic, you know, deflectable Mackerel mech board. We do end up beating this, but he's still alive. We also beat the Alec here, so it's kind of looking good. It seems like we actually should be big enough to beat these people late game if I keep on playing how I'm playing. Although this guy can still triple his Baron. There's no beast, so we can't find Mark, but he can triple his Buster as well. So he could still be an issue later on. Facing a ghost, so we're just gonna chill here. I'm gonna continue talking about the comment now. So I'm still looking for one of these directional indicator minions and not finding them. Yeah, that's like I mentioned, you gotta know what tier to level to and where you can find, or what you should be looking for. Also, I pick a Battle Master, by the way, because it's amazing. You'll see next turn why I picked this Battle Master. You're only 2,500 MMR and somehow managed top 4 and more, but still second best is listen to. Yeah, that's probably indeed because of too much tempo. You cling too much onto early good cards and let that dictate your game. But yeah, I hope that my tips here helped, and I hope you can look at Battlegrounds now with a fresh light and just experiment, have fun with it. You can just try out different strategies, and if they don't work, then try something else. So, this Battle Master, look, we shook, and it's at 23-33. In one turn, we were able to like generate this big of a guy, so if you hero power this, amazing stats. That's why I took it. It's one of the best cards to, well, shake up, and then hero power, and now we have like a chunk of stats for literally like no commitment of gold whatsoever or time. We find a Zapp, which I do end up taking because, again, I level to 6. We need to try and counter now, right? I think I'm big enough to beat most of these guys. The only way I lose is the Buster guy, who can, well, outscale me if he triples his stuff. So I probably need Zapp to counter his Baron. I picked up Kangaroos as well because, well, just like last next video, it's an amazing reset, you know, for my Deflectabots, but Kangaroos has more potential. If it resummons like a Mackerel or a Deflectabot, it can do great. It can actually just scam fights on its own. So we're getting great mackerel value here. I'm including these fights because I think in mech fights, positioning is really important. So I hope you guys understand. So my positioning, Deflectos first, obviously. Then, well, my 2 taunts, hoping for them to die and go into Kangaroos. Kangaroos in the back, so that way maybe he hits into my Deflectables and I get reset value. And yeah, just try and get as much value out of every single shield and attack as possible, basically. We end up killing Alak here, and now the standoff versus the Buster comp. I love how all top 3 of us are kind of like mech taunt boards and scammy. And I'm still just shaking here as well, but soon we gotta commit, and the shaker and the gem splitter could be sold technically. I pick up another Zapp, maybe we triple Zapp, which would be decent because he could start playing around Zapp, right? And then a triple Zapp very often just, it's really hard to counter unless you play a Spore. So yeah, now we're just screwed. So I played a Zapp here, hope for the best, and we'll see how the fight goes. Am I big enough to take down this this Crag? Crag, I've never seen a Crag actually be in a top 2 as of recent. And guess what? He does play around Zapp. He is smart enough, and we don't get to kill his Baron, and he has a Golden Buster. So basically, what good counters or what could beat us still, he managed to get. Although I am still massive. Look at this Pubbot, look at these Deflectabots, and I'm still doing great. So I'm not too scared. Although we could die here and we end up winning, but we don't end up killing him. So now we gotta think about, okay, what's next, right? Because he's still playing around our Zapp. How do we get to his Baron, or how do we make sure we don't get scammed next fight? Because he could still improve his board if he finds another beast or like more kangaroos or whatever. And well, I picked up a second Zapp, and fun fact, double Zapp is super hard to counter. It's kind of like golden Zapp. You do have to sacrifice a board spot for it, but the good thing is that we're Mutanus, so we don't really sacrifice a spot. We just put the stats of that unit onto something else. And since this is going to be a lost fight anyway, we're both super low, someone is gonna die unless we tie, which is unlikely. I don't really need gems anymore or shakers, so I decide to hero power the gem splitter and just say fuck it, this fight we either die or he dies, so I'm gonna go all in and display the double Zapp and see what happens. Is it gonna work out or not? Well, let's find out. I should have put my lower attack Zapp first probably, and then, or actually it doesn't really matter. It's really hard, depends on how he tries to counter our Zapp again, right, with his Baron. Like clearly he put Mummy now instead of the Pabot, which is great, but then I should have switched my Zapps if I knew this, because then you would have one attack here to kill the Baron, and then I could attack something else with the Zapp, like the mech roll. But, well, he got screwed. Our double Zapp worked out miraculously. We're getting great value from this mech roll as well. And we take this lobby down. So this is how I play Mutanus. This is a really fun mech game. This is how you approach a late game and what you're looking for. We didn't really need triples. This was pretty beautiful. Hope you guys enjoyed the game as well as much as I did playing it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.